Alright, y'all, so today I want to make a very quick video. Today I want to discuss a very fascinating canceled topic. Today I want to talk about the cancellation and my thoughts on Earth One Flash. Now, believe it or not, Earth One was an imprint that kind of ran from the 2010s to the late 2020s. It was an imprint of graphic novels where DC would hire like high-profile artists and creators with really no timetable, and they would take their crack on a famous DC character. So they did these for Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and Teen Titans. Now, there were plans for two additional books, Aquaman and The Flash. Now, I already covered Aquaman in a separate video, but here we're going to talk about The Flash. Now, unlike Aquaman, like I said, there wasn't really too much to go on for that video. This video with The Flash, there's really barely anything that we know about what Earth One Flash was going to be. But I'll cover all the details, at least as far as I know of. Now, this book was announced in 2015 alongside Earth One Aquaman, and the plan was basically to have Michael J. Straczynski to write the book. Now, if you know Earth One stuff, you should be very familiar with him. He's also a famous TV writer, I believe. He wrote Earth One Superman, so he's already very familiar with the Earth One universe. Now, he was planned to write this Earth One Flash. We also know that he wanted to write this version of the Flash. This was going to be Barry Allen's Flash. This was not going to be Wally West. As Wally West's Flash actually did appear in the Earth One universe. He was actually part of Earth One Titans. So this version was going to focus on the Barry Allen Flash. And there were plans, when they announced the books back in 2015, there were plans that they said they were going to originally be slated to come out in 2016, which obviously none of that happened, right? But that was the initial announcement. And beyond those very initial details, beyond, like I said, the artist himself was inspired to do the Flash because apparently he loved the character so much and would practice a trick that the Flash did in the comics while he was a kid. So like I said, he came from a genuine place for wanting to write the Flash. And like I said, we know it was the Barry Allen Flash that he wanted to do. Beyond that, we don't know anything else about this Earth One Flash book. There was no artist attached. And obviously, when 2016 kind of came and went, we really had no news about this Flash. We heard radio silence for the longest time. And then it wasn't until years later where the artist was asked, not the artist, when the writer was asked years later about the status of the Earth One Flash, he just assumed it was canceled. He thought that the Earth One imprint as a whole was canceled, and it seemed like there was no movement made on the book really at all. So that's all the initial details we know about the Earth One Flash. I wanted to give my initial thoughts. I think it's a bit of a shame that we never got to see this. I think Michael J. Straczynski's work on Superman was really good. It was one of my favorite runs of the imprint. I think he would have handled a Barry Allen Flash very well. And I think it's really just a big shame that we never got to see it. I do see why it maybe got canceled, just because, number one, Michael J. Straczynski is a very busy man, and he was already still working on Superman at the time. So him tackling two Earth One books seemed like a weird decision. I think that he should have been tapped to do it after he was done with Superman. I think this book might have came out, always had a better chance of coming out, if the book, for example, came out with another writer attached. Regardless, though, I think it's a bit of a shame we never got to see an Earth One Flash. Yeah, that's my overall quick thoughts on Earth One Flash. I think it would have been a very interesting book. It's a bit of a shame that it kind of just got weirdly canceled after tons of radio silence. But yeah, that's my quick thoughts. All right, y'all have a good day. Peace.